let's talk about what happened this weekend. So there are a couple elements to this, and I don't want to. I don't want to do. Yeah, I had a jacket over it. I'm not a barbarian, you know. But I have. I don't want to spend too much time with the setup, but we'll spend a little bit of time at the setup. You know, just so we can kind of make this make sense as much as possible. So for anybody who's watching right now who did not watch the episode that we did last week with Matt Leck, since I was getting ready for this debate, Tim Pool, Tulsi Gabbard, James O'Keefe, the title of the episode was "Let's Talk About Tim, Tulsi, and James," or possibly Tulsi, Tim, and James. I remember we did the alliteration, and we did segments on all three of them. And so in the James O'Keefe segment, what we really focused on was his anti-union views. So for a couple reasons, obviously, one is just that, building worker power, at the workplace level is a major theme of this show, and it's very central to our interests. And so his position on that, which is not pro-union to put it mildly, is something that is that like obviously we're going to go after him for. I also think there's an important tension here between the sort of usual right-wing culture war position of pretending to care a whole lot about free speech, and the fact that one of his big complaints about the teachers' unions is that it makes it harder to get people fired. And think, well, okay, well, wait a second. If you really care about that, I'm not going to go into this argument too much because I'm going to go into it in detail in one of the clips we're going to be watching. But I think those two things are in tension, right? That's the larger case I was making. So as part of this, we showed just a little bit, right? Not very much, but like a minute each of a couple of different videos in the series. And so for one of them, we showed a video. We showed the first 54 seconds of the video, and then we cut off at 54 seconds because that's kind of the end of the section. They changed the subject right after that. And you'll see in the video you're about to watch, you'll see James claiming repeatedly that the part they wanted me to show was 10 seconds later. It was not 10 seconds later. I don't push back against that in the moment because I don't fucking remember exactly how many seconds later it was. Like, it had been a while since I'd watched the video. Like, he said 10 seconds, so I just assumed it was really 10 seconds, but it was not. They spent a good 30 seconds talking about other stuff. Like, they say 3 or 4 other things before this part, which is maybe a small nitpicky point, but I actually think it's kind of a significant misrepresentation in terms of where they're, in the context of this, right? So, okay, so you'll see him misrepresent where the where the video cut off, but there's also a big thing that there's been this sort of legion of James O'Keefe fans who have been in every version of social media platform that exists.
I think some of them might be saying like "beep boop" a little bit, like because there was a lot of the same message copied and pasted. Yeah, a little dystopian. But anyway, sorry. Yeah, a lot of the same one-liners, or else they have really great message discipline that we should aspire to.
Yeah. I suspect that some of them are bots. I also suspect that some of them are like 5 people with 50 accounts, but who knows? Maybe that's wrong. I have no idea. These are just suspicions. So there are definitely some people, right? Because there have been people who have telephone gamed this in all sorts of crazy ways. Well, it'll make more sense when we watch the clip. But there are people who have like concluded things that go way beyond anything even James said. There are people who've been all over the Instagram. So like Jen and I have an Instagram, since it's like the whole point of it was like, okay, I would like post to it sometimes, usually show stuff, and she would just like post like pictures of us doing things. So kind of a bit of a weird side of whatever. Then it was like more of it's like a personal Instagram for the most part. It's like a little bit of work stuff, right? But it's like mostly her thing, right? She's the one posting to it like a good 80% of the time. But since I don't have a separate Instagram account, right? That's just the Instagram we have, and the Project Veritas when they put out this hit video, they tagged it, so that's been like besieged by like, angry trolls who were like mostly spent the weekend yelling at Jen because I never checked the Instagram. So it's been pretty weird. But here's the backstory of all of this. So yeah, all the stories are from me because I literally don't even know how to do a story. I only know how to do a post. So in any case, so 100% of those are from Jen. The posts are like maybe 20% me. Okay, so here's what happened. We were about to do so there were 3, it was like a whole event over the course of the evening on Saturday evening. And there were some stand-up comics at different points. There were different people, but the main 3 things were these 3 panels. So the first one was Cornell West in dialogue with Coleman Hughes. And whatever. It's just fun watching Cornell West talk. I mean, I actually went into the audience for a little bit of that one just to check it out. There was one with Destiny and also Margaret Kimberly talking to some of the craziest right-wingers I've ever seen. I don't remember all their names. And then the last one was going to be me, Tulsa Gabbard, Tim Pool, James O'Keefe. So fast forward to like, I don't know, maybe 10 minutes, maybe less than that even, before our debate was supposed to start. And I am standing, it's in like a Broadway theater. It's like, this is a huge theater, right? But they have it's the Beacon Theater. So I'm standing like right off stage, which is where I'm supposed to, to like get ready to go on. And there's this dude who I've never seen before, but is apparently Project Veritas employee, which he does not tell me, of course, because that would have ruined it, right? And not only does he not tell me that he's affiliated with Project Veritas, everything about his appearance and demeanor screamed event staff, right? He was wearing a suit, he was holding an iPad, right? Like it all looked very sort of professional, event staff. And he was like, "Ben, may I speak to you for a moment, before your panel?" It's like, "Okay, sure, what's up?" Right? And so he leads me back into the hallway, this kind of room where there are like 20 Project Veritas guys standing around. There are multiple cameras going. There's a point you'll see in the video where I'm like, there are all these cameras. They're like, oh, there are only 2 cameras. There were 2 big cameras that there were like several people who were like holding up, holding up their phone, like clearly filming it also. And so I actually like count them at one point in the video. And he sticks a microphone in my face, Project Veritas, ambush journalism style, and demands that I tell him, that I answer for my various crimes. So do we have this one ready to pull up?
Yep, I'm about to share it.
All right. Yeah, I should also say I do want to own 2 things that are definitely L's of mine here. One, he points out at one point. Well, we'll stop when we get to that. I'll save that one. But the other one is, I also just like when that happens, like what I should have said, like the first 5 seconds, is, dude, we're about to go on a panel. Just say whatever you have to say then, right? Which he totally could have done. There's nothing that he says here he couldn't have said on the panel we were about to do. But I guess you can't make it a Project Veritas video if it's just a clip of a panel. It has to be like, oh, we caught him, right? So it has to be some kind of like weird hallway ambush thing. So in any case, let's watch this. So this is the Project Veritas video that a vast army of possibly people have been spreading over social media in the last couple of days.
I just said it twice, but I'll say it a third time.
I'll release the full raw video tomorrow.
Yeah, I'm sure you. I will be fascinated. I will be fascinated to see if it's actually the full video.
Hey Ben, James.
Hey.
Nice to see you.
Nice to see you.
How you doing? Are you excited for the panel?
I am, yeah.
Hey, this one clip here of you talking about the Teachers Gone Wild video.
Yep.
Remember this?
Yep.
You talk about the video games laughing on their dime.
Yep.
Union officials. Remember this? Right? Laughing while playing video games. Then you kind of mock that because it was like, what's the point of that? And like, I kind of agree with it if that was the only thing that the video showed. But 10 seconds later, in that very video, which you cut from, was the woman talking about using an. She says the N-word to a student, right? 10 seconds later. Right?
Yeah. So,
All right, let's pause.
I'm glad to know that you have that you've had this.
So, never having been ambush interviewed before, I was not quite quick on my feet enough here. I should point out, I didn't even notice this the first 2 times I watched this video. He just lied again, right? And in 2 ways. One is it's not 10 seconds later, right? There's 30 seconds of other subjects here, which I know is a very small point to harp on, but it's kind of a significant one because they're presented as like, oh my God, you doctored the video by leaving this out. It's like, dude, we just played the entire first minute or first 54 seconds unedited, right? Stopped at what seems, I think if you watch it, you'll see is a pretty natural stopping point. And the part you want us to talk about wasn't even the very next thing. There were like a few other things first. So that's one thing, right? Second lie. It's not that she calls a student the N-word 30 seconds later, right? There's no footage of whatever incident, may or may not have happened in like 2007 or whatever, in this video. What there is a union official talking about the incident, right? It's not a recording of the incident. It's a recording of people at the union conference talking about the incident, which again, maybe a small thing, but like also I think maybe matters a little bit, but let's, unless you want to throw in something there, let's keep going.
Moral epiphany about selective editing.
Just so you know, I showed him the clip. I found the clip, and I was just kind of wondering. I saw that you were a professor from Morehouse, an adjunct professor, and I was just curious how you thought that a teacher saying the N-word. Were you saying it's okay for New Jersey black students to be called the N-word by a union official?
Yeah. So I think that you're not actually wondering that. I think that you're a very dishonest person if you're pretending to wonder about that. I think that the function of a union, one of the functions of a union, is to provide people with representation and the best defense possible they can get in the context of a disciplinary proceeding, the same way that a lawyer would provide you with representation and the best defense possible.
Why did you edit the tape to exclude the N-word mention?
I did it!
Yeah, the tape is like half an hour. The idea that I'm editing it because I'm showing in that clip that I'm showing, what am I doing? I'm showing that you are including all of this stuff that, you guys decide to put that in the video. You probably had hundreds of hours of footage.
She was just,
no, I'm sorry.
What are you sorry about?
I'm that is my polite Midwestern way of saying don't interrupt me. So they have so you are the one who chose to include that in the video, right? You probably had hundreds of hours of footage.
The teacher calling a student the N-word.
Yeah, so,
and you said that I was wait. I'm sorry.
I know this is what you do, this ambush gotcha stuff. But what I'd like you to do,
I showed the clip to my boss.
Instead of asking silly ass leading questions, what I would like you to do is explain to me, right, in context, why is it that you think that particular should have been shown? And in particular, what do you think should happen if that happens? Do you not think that people should get representation from unions when they face disciplinary consequences?
That clip showed that they did get that clip showed. I'm sorry. Let me, if I can say something, sir. No, sir.
No. We'll talk about this on the panel.
Why did you edit the tape? Why did you doctor the tape? Why did you doctor it? Do you think that a union official should call a student the N-word? Why are you laughing about the N-word?
Well, I'm not laughing at the N-word.
Yes, you are laughing.
I'm not laughing.
You're also shaking.
I'm not laughing at the N-word. You're a liar.
You think this is a lie because Lissa Ploshnik was suspended in New Jersey. It made the front page of the Star Ledger, and you doctored that out. You edited the. You didn't include it. It was 10 seconds after the tape, And you doctored
seconds after that and 10 seconds after that. The idea that that's doctoring is, I think the most generous way you can put that is very confused. Now,
do you care that the teacher called a student the N-word and is still teaching? Do you care about that? Do you think that's okay?
What do you think should happen?
I'm asking you, do you think it's okay?
Are we going to have a discussion here?
I want to know the name of this teacher who called the student the N-word, don't you?
No.
You don't care. Wow. You don't care that a teacher calls a student the N-word. That's unbelievable. An admission.
That is obviously not what I said. Okay, guys. We can do this on the panel. The 20 cameras at once leaning in, asking. No, 1, 2, 3.
This is
5, 6.
This is called sunlight. How does it feel?
It's not called sunlight.
What is it called?
What it's called is sleazy clickbaiting.
How about calling a student the N-word?
That has absolutely nothing to do with a real discussion over
Let's have a real discussion. We're having a real discussion.
Have a real discussion on the panel, James. Thank you for confirming.
The N-word, you heard it there.
Yeah. So a few points about that. First of all, even when nothing weird or stressful is going on, my hand does sometimes shake. Has since I was a kid. Project Veritas can't take credit for that, but since he mentioned it, you know, be a weird thing to talk about in stream otherwise. But you know, I'll mention it there. Second point, doctoring. Right? He used the phrase as doctoring. You know, the word doctoring. Right? Is just not including something in a clip doctoring. I mean, we played unedited. There are no internal cuts whatsoever from the beginning of the video to the end of the first section, 54 seconds in. Right? And it's also not like the rest of the video is about this N-word incident. The N-word incident takes up maybe 10 seconds of the video, which I don't know. Do you remember how long the video was, the total Project Veritas video?
No, I don't, but I know that, like, I mean, I, you know, originally edited that, and I didn't even, like, I just, you know, we talked about including a reasonable portion of it, and it wasn't like, you know, I went in or you went in and saw that and was like, ooh, let's keep that out because, like, that's indefensible. Yeah. I mean, we even talked during the segment about, like, you know, how it would be the same thing as and you know, you're going to mention some of this later, but like about saying to a lawyer, like, you defended a murderer, you know what I mean? Right. So we even made the point.
So you must be pro-murder.
Right. Yeah. We went as far as to say, as, you know, the point of due process isn't to say that, you know, it's okay. Because first of all, this is an incident from how long ago? Like, he was like, we demand the name, but like, it was from like, was it even recent?
No, it was not at all recent. I mean, this is like the title of that video was New Jersey Teachers Union's Gone Wild. So, and like the whole thing was structured as a parody of a Girls Gone Wild commercial. And I don't think I've seen one of those commercials in many moons, right? You know, I mean, like, I think the latest this could be is what, like 2010? And like at the time, they were already talking about an incident that was in the past. We don't even know how much longer it was before than that, right? I mean, like, for all we know, this is like 2007 or something. I have no idea, right? So it's like, this is what they're demanding, you know. So, okay, so they say it's doctored, which is absurd, right? I mean, we just, you know, we didn't, like, we cut off the video at 54 seconds. This comes at like 1:30 or something, and it takes about 10 seconds. And they talk about a million other things before the end of the video. It's at least, I mean, I said half an hour there. It's probably not actually half an hour, but I'd be surprised if it was less than 10 minutes, certainly, right? You know, they talk about a bunch of other things over the course of those 10 minutes. So, so that's just to start with, you know, that it wasn't like the video was New Jersey teacher says the N-word gone wild, right? I mean, it was, you know, like, this was a tiniest little part of it. And I think, Jen, you know, I was talking to Jen about this earlier tonight after I got back to Atlanta, and she was like, yeah, whatever you didn't include, they would have said was the most important part, right? If I'd stopped it at a minute and 40 seconds, we'd included this, then it would have been some other fucking thing than the rest of the video that they said, oh, but that's so important. You didn't include that. You were doctoring it, you know, by not including it, you know, that they, like, if we had included it, they would have gotten upset that we didn't include the thing about the, you know, the teacher who was like the drug use stuff, right? You know, that that which we talked about but didn't show, right? Like, so that's another thing. But also, I'm obvious, so when I said the thing about the 20 cameras, which is an exaggeration, there were six people filming that I counted there. But I said that because like the other camera, the one that was, the other of the big cameras, there were like 4 cell phone cameras going and the 2 big cameras. And the other, and like it wasn't just like people discreetly doing, right? The other big camera, right? They were like leaning closer to me. I was like, okay, fuck off. We're done here, right? What I should have done in the first 10 seconds. But also like it's Jake is always doctoring things, but they have a really good union here at Give Them an Argument, so I can't fire him.
It's an addiction. I'm addicted to doctoring. I can't stop it. But yeah, sorry, go on.
Yeah. But like also, there's obviously no hint here that I'm okay with saying the N-word, right? There's nothing that comes within 10,000 miles of that anywhere in anything that I say, right? What do I say? That if you do something bad, you still deserve due process and the best defense you can get, right? The same way that if somebody in the criminal justice system is accused of something, right? You still deserve a process to make sure that evidence is being heard, everybody's rights are being respected, no contract is being violated. And even if you unambiguously did it, which may, for all I know, be the case here, I don't know. I haven't gone back and read the New Jersey Star Ledger piece they referred to, right? So I don't know all the details about this incident. But even if it's exactly as bad as they're portraying it as being, right? Like, okay. I mean, the same way that a good lawyer will try to get their client a good deal, right? I mean, like, I think a good, strong union, union representative, will, like, even if there's no disagreement about what happened, right, could still be like, well, is this a first offense? Can we try to argue for some lesser form of punishment? All of which is a good thing. I think we'd just have a much better society if we empowered workers more and it was harder to fire people. I mean, that, like, not impossible, but harder, right? You had to have a higher bar. And, you, like, even if you did something bad, if it's not like, that, like, there are levels to badness, right? There are levels of different punishment you could get. And I'm obviously not laughing at the N-word. I'm laughing at the absurdity of the situation. That's how, like, after I finally walked away, James actually followed me to the edge of the stage and, like, continued to kind of hector me. I guess none of this is in the video. Maybe they weren't filming at that point. But he said, "Oh, in my experience, laughter, means people got caught." I was like, no, it doesn't, right? In your experience, and in my experience, and everybody's fucking experience, laughter is something that human beings tend to do in socially awkward situations when people are being weird, right? I mean, like, that's like, I certainly, I mean, it's a little bit like the, I am enough of a good Midwestern boy that I'll say sorry when I mean fuck off and shut up while I'm talking. That's, I'll just say I'm sorry instead of that, right? It's kind of the same thing, that it's like,
I mean, far be it from them using humor while discussing this topic, calling the fucking video teachers unions gone wild. I mean, they're using a satirical frame in their own video from in the first place, making it a comical topic. And I think that anybody reasonable watching that video knows that you weren't saying that it's okay for a teacher to say that. I think it's more that you didn't want to comment on it because who even knew what he was talking about, and you didn't have the facts of the case in front of you, so it's kind of sophomoric to ask you to comment on it.
What he's doing at the end, right? He's not just asking for a comment on the thing itself, which, look, if you want to comment on the thing itself, no. Do I know all the details of this case, or whether she was actually calling a student the N-word, which would be really bad, right? Or whether, she was using it in some way that was like a lesser thing than that, which would still be bad, right? I mean, I don't think, I'm pretty firmly in the camp that, like, I don't care if you're quoting a Jay-Z lyric, you shouldn't say it, right? As a white guy, right? I mean, that's, it's just a bad look, right? Don't do that. Even if you're on the right side of the use mention distinction, it's still ill-advised, right? And not, and not a nice thing to do. But, like, I don't know where it was on that spectrum, right, between those two things. I don't know, again, if this was a one-time thing. I don't know, if she knew who was listening. Like, there are all kinds of things I don't know that could be relevant to what level of punishment is appropriate, right? But if the question is, should you be, like, allowed to say the N-word at work? No. I don't think that. Of course I don't think that, right? That's a good way to create a hostile work environment, right? You can't allow that, right? That's does that necessarily mean that I think that the maximum punishment should be the punishment in every case? No, not necessarily, right? I mean, this is shit's complicated, right? And I think was it appropriate in this case? Well, I don't know, right? We'd have to fill in a lot of those details, but whether it was or not, I mean, look, I think actually maybe this will just confirm how racist I am, but I think O.J. Simpson probably did it. I'll just say that. I think he is most likely guilty of murder. But I don't look at O.J. getting off and say, man, it really sucks that we have criminal defense attorneys. We should just abolish that, right? It should just, the prosecutor should just tell the judge what happened and they should decide the punishment and that should be that, right? I think it's still good that we have a process and protections and all of that stuff. So even if, for the sake of argument, this teacher did deserve to have the book thrown at them, I'm still glad this process is in place. Also, somebody was pointing out, one of the social media discussions about this. I give them credit if I can remember who I'm, taking this from. But it's like, look, if you look at the role of labor unions in building what black middle class existed for much of the 20th century, right? If we're looking at the net effect of unionization on race, I mean, there's just no contest, right? Like whether that's been more of a positive or not. I mean, it's absurd, right? That like somebody who, let's say this teacher was the biggest asshole of all time, right? That person not completely losing their job, right, would be a very small cost, right, compared to the massive benefits for economic and racial equality of unionization.
You have been watching free public content from Give Them an Argument. To access every single episode of the show, the main show on Monday nights, all of the streams, all of the debate breakdowns, all of the patron-exclusive post-games on Monday nights, all of the patron-exclusive bonus episodes every week, and much, much more, go to patreon.com/Ben Burgis. I cannot resist ending this with, don't be foolish.